Hello guys, I hope you can hear me properly. Let me know if my sound is good tonight. Sorry for the delay. I had some technical issues. Uh, I'm selling my house, so I had to rearrange the studio where I usually do the streamings. So yeah, but because I had some visitors yesterday. So, anyways, long story short, I'm back here. Thank you guys for being here. Let me just say hello to you guys, Mary Beanie, one of the usual suspects. Happy to have you here. Shay Watson, how are you, Shay? No, you're not gonna miss anything. Mother of Dragons. Hello, Mother. How are you? How are your dragons? Funny thing, today my dog was chasing a skunk, and the whole house is just so smelly. It's horrible. I took like 3 showers today. My dog, she took like 3 showers with me. The smell is still here. She's just freaking crazy. No, she's not okay. Well, she's okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. Thank you, mother, for that. The last 24 is here. How are you? Oh my God, it's so hard. I don't know what to do. Apparently, there are some products in Walmart, and I have to find that. So freaking horrible. Anyways, I'm here. Miku's headphones. I got home from helping my grandma. Perfect time. Good to have you here. So, okay, Nana Boomer's here too. How are you, Nana? Oh, the electric workout is here. How are you? Ooh, Mar is here. How are you, Mar? She books. Here. Oh, we have a good crowd. Nice to have you here, guys. True crime addicted. Wow, it's a lot of people today. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about weird timings. Last week we were talking to criminality. We had Teresa here in the chat, and we were talking about how, in this case, we have a lot of weird timings, right? One of them, for example, Todd Click being arrested just right before the beginning of the process. Weird timing. Another weird timing. Keegan Klein's confession, Wabash River search, and the arrest of Richard Allen. Weird timing. Another weird timing. We had Todd Click going to talk to Jerry Holman, and when he was entering to the Holman office, let's say, he he met Brad Holder in the waiting room. Another weird timing. So this case is weird timing here is Richard Allen being moved to Oklahoma right after the transcripts are being released. So I don't know if you find that how can I say, weird or not, but we are going to talk about that here. So I'm going to play a couple of videos where some people, they have different views uh, about the weird situation. In my opinion, is weird. We have the release of the transcripts, and right away, Richard Allen is moved from Pendleton facility to the Oklahoma facility, far away from his family, far away from his attorneys. I think that there's some type of I don't know if the word is good in English, but obstaculization of his appealing process. Uh, so to me, this is just freaking weird. I'm gonna play a couple of videos. Usually, I don't react too fast about these type of situations. I prefer to listen to other people before to try to reconciliate the facts in my mind a little bit. And I don't know. I really find that this is really weird. So let's play a couple of videos. I'm gonna come back to the chat to talk to you guys soon.
Convicted murderer Richard Allen is now in an out-of-state prison, just transferred to Oklahoma. So take a look. Here's his new mugshot. Allen was actually transferred on Friday from the Pendleton Correctional Facility to a prison just south of Oklahoma City. 13 News is now working to learn the exact reason for the transfer. Back in December, Allen was sentenced to 130 years for killing Abby Williams and Libby German. The girls were found dead in 2017 near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi.
Richard Allen has been transferred to the...
So this is Jim Wagoner. I really love this guy. He's very transparent. I don't see any bad, weird energy from him. I think he's really a nice person. I love him as a content creator. Maybe a little bit naive, in my opinion, but let's hear what is he gonna say about Richard Allen being transferred to Oklahoma.
Lexington Assessment and Resource Center in Oklahoma. Indiana has a state compact with Oklahoma regarding their prison system and no doubt their motor vehicle system and criminal justice system. We're not sure why Allen was transferred to this facility in Oklahoma. Doing some research online, the Lexington facility is used to process inmates that will be long-term inmates in Oklahoma. And Allen, looking almost unrecognizable in his booking photo into the assessment center, looks really sad and dour. Now he's really far away from his family and in an uncertain environment that is obviously rife with extreme danger. So this could be the gateway for Allen to serve out the rest of his life in the Oklahoma prison system. Or another possibility is this particular facility is one of the only prisons, maybe the only one in the state of Oklahoma, I'm not sure, about Indiana, that has a full-time kidney care center. That means they've got dialysis machines, nurses, technicians, and staff for inmates with kidney issues. Is this why Allen was transferred to Oklahoma? We don't know, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Gary Morphew's next hearing in Colorado.
So, okay, Jim, he just said two things. One was that Richard Allen is gonna be for sure far away from his family, and of course, we know that this is something that is very important to him. As you know, guys, in my theory here in this case, I believe that Richard Allen is involved in the crime somehow. I don't know if he's the killer or not, but I think that is very important to keep him safe. And this move is really, really weird because, in my opinion, some of the answers are gonna be found in Richard Allen himself. So it's just weird that he's being moved from Pendleton to Oklahoma, far away from his family, far away from his attorneys. It is really weird. The other thing that Jim was telling us here is that in Oklahoma they have some type of how can we say, they have some services to take care of the inmates in regards of the kidneys issues. I don't know if you know guys about this or not, but in my I don't know anything about Richard Allen having kidneys issues. So that's like far-fetched in my opinion. If that was the motive for Richard Allen to be moved to that area, I think it's like 12 hours from Delphi. It's so far from Delphi for his wife to go to visit him, for his attorneys to go to visit him, to have some type of interviews with him. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So this is Jim Wagoner talking about that. Let's see other creators talking about this situation, and then I'm gonna come back to the chat to see what are your opinions, guys, here.
Oh, in Alamosa is September 2nd.
This afternoon that Richard Allen's original attorneys will be reinstated. Additionally, the special judge, Francis Gull, will be able to continue presiding over the case.
And a lot of us wondered, is this justice? And in a story of strange occurrences, another strange occurrence happened recently because Richard Allen has just been moved from Indiana to Oklahoma. And since timing is everything in these stories, I've got to ask the question why. I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. Welcome to the point. Everything's alleged. Let's get to it. Now, right off the bat, for those of y'all who don't know, this is what came across the news feed.
The man convicted of 2 girls in Delphi, Indiana, is now serving his sentence in Oklahoma. Richard Allen was transferred this week. We're working to learn why.
Now, what's strange here in this situation so far. I'm not saying there's anything nefarious going on, but what's odd here is nobody knows why. And yes, while the timing is odd here, I want to say up front, this isn't something that's uncommon. It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened in the past. Inmates
I think I was talking alone. Sorry for that.
have been known to move from one state to another, either for safety, overcrowding, health services, and things like that. And as always, when something pops up in the Delphi situation, I go to Delphi Docs and I found this right here. For those of you who have been asking about Rick's current situation, I want to share some important updates. He has recently been...
So, of course, I was talking alone. I was muted as usual. Sorry, guys, for that. So I was answering to Simdal. He says that probably it's not the safest situation right now for Richard Allen, and of course I agree with him. And the problem here is either if you think that Richard Allen is innocent or guilty or involved, it's not gonna be a good situation if something happened to him there in Oklahoma. Because let's say if he's actually innocent, of course we are not gonna have an appealing process, and we are not gonna find any answer that we are looking for, because we know that there are a lot of unanswered questions here. If he's involved in the case, it's the same situation. The answers are with him. So if something happened to him there, we are not gonna know what are those answers. It's over. The whole situation is fishy. It's very smelly, like my house today because of my dog who was chasing a skunk, and it's horrible here today. But anyways, let's continue with the video.
And transferred to a facility in Oklahoma, a decision that reflects both his wishes and his needs for a supportive environment. A few weeks ago, Rick expressed a strong desire to be moved to the general population, commonly known as Gen Pop. This change is quite significant for him because it opens up a range of opportunities, including access to various educational programs and job training initiatives. Additionally, he'll be able to participate in regular church services, which play a crucial role in nurturing his spiritual health. The choice to relocate him to an out-of-state facility was made after thorough consideration of his safety and civil rights. The Department of Correction officials involved in the decision determined this new setting would pose a lower risk to him, allowing him to distance himself from previous circumstances that might have jeopardized his security. On a positive note, Rick's mental health appears to be in an exceptionally stable and uplifting state, more so than I have ever witnessed in him before. He seems to be experiencing a turning point in his life, demonstrating a newfound motivation and readiness to take charge of his future. It's inspiring to see him striving for personal growth and positive change. While it's true that Oklahoma isn't the most convenient location for family visits, the benefit to Rick's overall well-being makes this move worthwhile. I kindly ask that you keep Rick and his family in your thoughts and prayers during this transition. Now, Alan Prickman had said up front, he doesn't know if this is 100% reliable, so I'm not telling you this is 100% reliable, but is this the truth? If it is the truth, which it may very well be, I'm not saying it's not, but if it is, what's odd to me is it separates him and his wife. And we all know up to this point, the one thing Richard Allen needs the most in his life is Kathy. That's not a secret. That should be a mystery to anybody. So there is some potential that this move is just another strange situation where everything's on the up and up. They have Richard's best intentions, and this is just the best thing for him. And he can do all the things in prison he needs to do while he's awaiting his pills, since we all know he's not guilty of this crime. And I know that's a shock to a lot of people. He was found guilty. Obviously, that means he's guilty. Well, I got a newsflash for everybody. While not everybody who claims to be innocent is actually innocent, not everybody who is guilty is actually guilty. But let's talk about about some of these strange occurrences and odd time. And number one, the transcripts have came out. Now, as I was making my videos on this particular story, as the trial was moving forward, I kept saying I'm waiting to see the evidence. I kept waiting to say, I'm waiting for the state to prove to me Richard Allen committed this crime, and I never saw it. Now, while typically justice is supposed to be transparent in the state of Indiana, not so much. No cameras, limited seating, and only members of the media could review the exhibits.
I'm sorry, guys. I was muted again. What the fuck is going on with me today? I just wanted to say hello to Mar because this guy, the one who is talking right now, his channel is to the point. By the way, go to his channel and try to subscribe to him. I think the guy is bright. I don't necessarily agree with his ideas, but I appreciate the critical thinking. And he was talking about Brian Koberger, and the other time, last week, when we were talking with Teresa Criminality, there was someone in the chat trying to create chaos in the chat, saying that everyone who is in the pro Allen side, they also think that Brian Koberger is innocent. And Mar reached out to me because she was pissed about that. And I agree with you. Sadly, there are just some trolls or some people trying to create chaos in this community. Sorry, I was muted again. Let's continue with the video here, guys. I'm so lost. Thank you for understanding my lack of, how can I say, concentration, if we can say that.
The most frequent comment back I got on those videos was, I wasn't there. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, I'm here to tell you folks the transcripts are available. You can go read them yourself. I went through almost everything I talked about in my videos with the exclusion of Brad Weber, and I can tell you everything I said on this video came out to be what was said in the actual trial. So the news reports I followed were accurate. The content creators I followed were accurate. And it was proven through those transcripts that that round did not match Richard Allen's weapon exclusively. There was no DNA of Richard Allen at the crime scene. There was no DNA or evidence of the victims in Richard Allen's home. The timing was off. The phone was actually moved. And if there's no connection, I just got to say it, there's no crime. There should have been a connection there. And yes, DNA was found at the crime scene. None of it was Richard Allen's. So how on earth that jury found him guilty, we'll never know because none of us got to view anything. It seemed to me they came to the determination Richard Allen was guilty of this crime because if not him, then who? That's just not how it works. But anyways, yes, the transcripts are available. Is that one of the reasons Richard Allen was moved? He is coming up on an appeal. When something happens within that appeal, I'll let you know. But that is certainly odd timing. And there's other odd timing not a lot of people are talking about. And to be fair, I forgot but was reminded in my comment section. Now, if you follow Delphi in this story and the story behind the story, then you're fully aware of the Florida fires. And for those of y'all who don't know, need to be reminded, in 2016, in their Florida apartment, 4 sisters were passed away by fire. Somebody set that apartment on fire, and that case was unsolved. When all this stuff came out about the odorness and that debate started about, is there a nexus? No, there's not a nexus, and all that nonsense. Within the odorness documentation, there became a potential leak, allegedly speaking, of course, that some of those individuals involved in the odonism and the potential passing of Abby and Libby were linked to the Florida fires. That crime was never solved. That story didn't get a lot of traction for whatever reason. But online speculation and rumor mill says that the individuals in the Odinist document are very dangerous, and they have potential connections with other individuals within the prison system. And if the FBI is investigating the Florida fires, then Richard Allen would potentially be a loose end, so to speak, since it was him that brought additional attention to a case that deserved to be solved and deserved as much attention as Libby and Abby. So the timing is odd, the situation is odd. Right around the time Richard Allen is moved from Indiana to Oklahoma, you have the FBI opening up an investigation into the Florida fires and a transcript release. I would love to get on here and say this is 100% a safety move for Richard Allen. This is all 100% for his well-being, but I just can't go that far. I'm not saying it's nefarious, but my God, look at these situations.
In sworn affidavits, the two guards admit that they wore patches on their uniforms that can be associated with Odinism, but they were ordered to remove them by their commander within just the past couple of weeks. Both guards say they do not practice Odinism and they are not part of a radical hate group. They say they have never threatened Richard Allen or had any one-on-one conversations with him. And the warden at the jail says in a sworn affidavit that no one in the prison has ever been ordered to threaten, harass, or put Allen in danger. But the court records say that Allen was tased twice in May for not following the commands of prison guards.
Y'all can't sit here and tell me the state of Indiana legitimately cares about Richard Allen's well-being when they slapped that man in a prison before he was found guilty. Y'all can't tell me they're concerned about his safety and well-being when they were forcing medication in his body, keeping him in solitary confinement, driving that man nuts. Y'all can't tell me they're concerned about their safety when they put him in Westfield immediately after he was found guilty, when it was in Westfield that he dealt with all these issues. It was in Westfield where he was dealing with the Odinist guards. I mean, this whole situation is nuts. This move is just another strange move when the state did nothing but strange moves to get us to this point. I can't imagine this makes visitation any easier between him and his wife. This won't affect his appeal, though. His appeal is about the record and what happened during trial, and that's moving forward to the best of my knowledge. I hope there's nothing nefarious going on right here. I'm not saying it is, but when you look at the other situations surrounding this story, the timing is certainly odd. And as soon as there's an update or more information, I'll let you know as soon as possible. You can go to Delphi Docs if you want to follow this case and follow these discussions. Defense Diary is doing full transcript readings. But if you enjoy this and a more fair, open conversation, maybe check one of these videos out.
So I hope I'm not going to be muted right now. Again, I really like this guy, to the point, critical thinker. Even if I disagree with him in some points, but I think it's really important to have people like him in this channel, in this community, sorry. And he's asking great questions here. Again, it's very suspicious, the timing. So the transcripts were released, and right after that, Richard Allen is being moved to Oklahoma. It's weird. It's really weird. He was talking about the fact or the possibility that Oklahoma, or I don't remember if it was him or Jim Wagoner, that in the Oklahoma correctional facility they have good services to patients with kidney failures or something like that. But we're gonna see after Baldwin interview with Andy Kopsa, they're gonna talk about the whole Oklahoma moving situation. Another content creator that he was actually an inmate in the Oklahoma correctional facility, and he's gonna tell us how bad they take care of the inmates there. So they don't care about your health, especially if you are serving 130 years. It's like you are already in the other side. You know what I mean? So let's hear both sides of the story. I really don't think that this is normal. It's really weird. And let's see what is Andy Baldwin gonna say about that transfer to Oklahoma.
Believe it, but
No, right.
Compared to those in Westville, the SHU in Westville, the most secure facility, and Richard was being, he was in solitary confinement, for 13 months. And at that point, it had been 7 months in the Geneva.
I mean, how is that possible? How is that possible? I hope I'm not muted. No, I'm not. How is that possible that Richard Allen was in solitary confinement during more than 1 year? it's crazy. It's not possible. So there's something fishy here. There's something smelly here, and I don't know. People believing that he was the killer and the only one and the only actor here are just crazy. At the beginning, when Richard Allen was arrested, I had some type of faith in law enforcement. I said to myself, they have the right guy. But when we learn the whole situation here, it's like, in my opinion, the people that at the beginning I thought they were crazy, they are the more rational people right now. And in the opposite side, when I was thinking about creators that, oh, those guys are very logical, they are just fucking crazy if they think that Richard Allen is the killer and the only actor here. And that includes myself, because I had some type of faith in law enforcement. But when we see the mistakes that they made during the whole investigations, the fishy and the smelly situations like this one, Richard Allen being in solitary confinement during more than 13 months, it's just it's not normal. It's just not normal. So sorry for the interruption.
Convention, I think it says 2 weeks is
Right.
when is the
And
most you do.
that's during wartime too.
Yeah, and so this guy's in there, a guy who's been married for 30 years is taken away from his wife, and you know, and now 7 months later, we're asking for him to go back, and that doesn't happen. And so Judge Gall listens to their witnesses and just believes that Gallipo, who said, oh, he's being treated better. And then she chastised us for that. And okay, do you mind if I just kind of freestyle on this? Because this has really been sticking in.
You're not freestyling? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I want to, I can,
Yeah.
I can, okay. So after that hearing, the judge issues an order basically saying that we didn't prove our case. And I want everybody to think that what I'm about to say is not normal. It is not even remotely normal, what normal judges do. When it starts with Baston not being there, normal judges would just not allow that to happen without having a conversation about it. And there wasn't much of a conversation there. It was just kind of a done deal. So we didn't get our witness in there to describe how Richard was actually being treated. That would have opposed what the warden was saying that Richard was being treated and so forth. And so we didn't get that person in there. So the judge then denies our motion.
Sorry, guy, I was muted again. I'm gonna kill myself today. It's the worst streaming in my life. Sorry for that. And I was answering to J. Ray. I was telling her that it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I mean, law enforcement, they already messed with Richard Allen during the trial. He didn't have a due process. We know that. Regardless if he's innocent, involved, or guilty, there was no due process there, for real. And that already happened. All right, he's convicted, And now that he's having the process to get on like an appealing process, they do this. Come on, it's not normal. Now that the transcripts are released, they move Richard Allen to Oklahoma is not a coincidence. Seriously, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's there's something fishy here, something smelly. I'm not gonna mute my microphone again. Sorry. I'm gonna try to not to make another mistake tonight, guys. Sorry for that.
Richard Allen stays in Westville in this hellhole of a prison, and he doesn't go to Cass County. And then on October the 19th, Brad and I, and there's, for those who know about the Delphi case, the judge basically ambushed us in chambers, and in that ambush where she basically said, I'm going to go out. The only time she had cameras in the courtroom was October 19th, 2023. And it was very, it looks very, very, in my opinion, it looks very calculated that she wanted the cameras there to make sure that we were going to, get off of the case versus go in there and have her embarrass us in front of the world, because she had a list of grievances about us and she had it all handwritten. So, on that I know that transcript that has been out for a while, and it has been out. But in that transcript, she's going through her list of grievances, and one of those is saying that we provided false information on a pleading about Richard Allen's living conditions at Westville. And now think about this, everybody.
Just a quick stop to answer to you, Sunflower. I agree 100%. It's just insane to think that this crime was committed by just one person. And we know that the content creators that are pushing that narrative, they are just too close to law enforcement. So even law enforcement, they don't believe that. They know that there are multiple actors. Is in the nature of the crime scene. that crime scene is telling us that there were multiple actors here. This crime was not committed by one single person. I don't think it was a ritual. To me, the crime scene was really very chaotic. If we have a ritual there, the whole crime is gonna be more, how can I say, precise, less chaotic. But I think the crime was committed by multiple perpetrators, at least 3 of them. And I'm gonna exclude Tom Webster from my bucket of bad creators, because I really respect Tom Webster. But the other ones, I don't know, some weird connection between them and law enforcement. Sorry for that interruption. Coming back to Andy Baldwin.
She's the judge that what we were told was that this is important. I forgot to tell you this. We got we got a report from Sheriff Tobe Lesenby. He's the sheriff of Carroll County, and we got a report from Tobe that was dated like June. It was dated June the 14th, I believe.
I'm looking at. Let me just look at this for 1 second. We may have gotten it
June the night. It might be June the 19th.
So there, I have something filed, and this is the accused response to court's May 31st order.
Yeah.
No. Is that it?
Well, I addressed that in that.
Yes, you did. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry. So June 14th, 2023. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and so Tobe Lesenby, the sheriff, he wrote a report to explain what happened, because people may not know this. In that situation, at least, Carroll County Sheriff's Department went to pick up Robert Baston from Westville, and they were going to transfer him to Carroll County for the hearing on the safekeeping order to get Rick out of there, our request. And so when they showed up there, according to this report, Baston was not wanting to come for whatever reason. Now, we have to believe the police, you know, at this stage, I don't believe it. You know, I take everything with a grain of salt. You know, I'd like to think that these people are telling accurate information. I have no idea whether they are. You know, part of me wants to say I'll take them at their word, but that's been proven wrong in the past in certain situations. So, but anyway, the report says that when Baston was refusing to get out, we called Judge Gall. I think Lesenby says we called Sheriff Lesenby. Sheriff Lesenby called Judge Gall, and Judge Gall, according to Lesenby, said, if he doesn't want to come, you can leave him there. Okay. There's a number of things wrong with what I just told you. Number one, Sheriff Lesenby was a witness in this case.
Yeah.
And he's having an ex parte communication with the judge.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, thank you for your words, Mother of Dragons. It's been a rough day, believe me. So thank you for that.
It might be a bit of a gray area. I try to be generous when I can. But what makes it more black and white, in my opinion, is when the sheriff calls the judge and the judge listens to the sheriff and talks to the sheriff or anybody from law enforcement. I think it was Lesenby here. She should immediately, get on a three-way call. I mean, there's problem-solving skills that a judge needs to have, and good judges have them. And they call and say, hey, this is a big deal. There's a big hearing going on tomorrow. I don't want your witness to not be there. Let's get Lesenby on. What do we do? What do we do here? So, or Sheriff Lesenby, what can we do to get him out? What are our options? Well, one of the options is extraction. You go in there with 3 or 4, DOC employees, and you grab them and you handcuff them and you put him in a car and you drag him if you have to. I don't like those things, but that's what happens. But we didn't know, weren't given any of those options. So that's what Sheriff Lesenby said, that Judge Gall, he pointed the finger at Judge Gall. Judge Gall's the one that gave.
So he's talking about this is going to be for another live. I'm going to advance the whole part of that situation between Tob Lesenby and Judge Gall. That's not part of the topic tonight, but it's something that is really important, and let's keep it for another show. But what I wanted to show you guys here is that there's another content creator. His name is A Convict Thoughts. He was actually an inmate in the Oklahoma correctional facility, and he's gonna tell us how hard, how rough the conditions are there, especially the health care situation in regards of the inmates. How rough is that situation there in the Oklahoma correctional facility? So this is another great creator. He was an inmate in that Oklahoma prison. So let's hear what is he gonna tell us about that.
Richard Allen was actually convicted in December of 2024 for the murders of Abby Williams and Libby Germain in Delphi, Indiana. He's actually been transferred. He's been transferred out of state from his home at the Pendleton Correctional Facility to his new home in Oklahoma, where he right now is going through intake. As of Friday, July 18th, 2025, Allen was transferred, and he's going through the Lexington Assessment and Reception Center in Cleveland County, Oklahoma. And let me tell you, this center, it's a different one, ladies and gentlemen. It houses everything from minimum to your maximum security closed custody inmates. So it's a moving parts facility where you get your DOC number. So there's no more comfortability for Mr. Richard Allen as he's serving his sentence of 130 years. His attorneys had filed motions to move him to a different facility within Indiana because he was working his way through the appeals process. Remember, Richard Allen was convicted of the counts of murder, 4 counts, sentenced to 130 years, but that left him open and available to utilize his appeal process. The problem now is he's been moved all the way down to Oklahoma. This is nowhere near his attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. It's nowhere near his family. He now will be housed in Oklahoma on a yard where he most likely does not know a single person. And I get it. Many would say, well, that's going to make his time easier. That's going to make his time easier because of his crimes, because of the crimes that he committed against 2 very young females, 13 and 14 years old to be exact. They were very young, just teenagers, beautiful little girls. And he was convicted of that sickening crime. But remember, he went through the dark courts with Judge Gold. This was one of the most eye-popping and focused upon cases due to the lack of transparency, just like other cases that are happening right now in our country. Richard Allen, when found guilty, began the process of his appeals. He has attorneys on the ball, ready to work for him. But now, no longer will they be able to meet as often in person. No longer is this process going to be easy to work back and forth between them, the lawyer and the client. The distance is going to make this much more difficult. It's going to be snail mail type of time frame. Makes it extremely hard on the appeal process. And you have to also remember, if Richard Allen does actually sneak in the appeal that he's looking for, if a court and a judge goes ahead and approves that, well, then he's going to have to venture from an Oklahoma penitentiary via a van to make it back to that court hearing. Let me tell you, it's tiresome. It is tiresome. I personally was transferred from the state of Arizona to Oklahoma. I had to go through Lexington Center to get my DOC number during my transfer. The only thing that I was fortunate is I had already worked my way through the appeal process. I was guilty. Arizona had an interstate compact to where they actually transferred numerous inmates from the state of Arizona, both on a minimum custody level and a medium custody level, to the state of Oklahoma. I personally was at the time a high medium close custody inmate, but because of disciplinary issues, I was able to be housed on the higher close custody maximum security yard. So when I arrived at the intake center in Oklahoma at the Lexington Center, I was deemed to be a close custody maximum security inmate, which would be the exact same thing as Richard Allen. I would just, of course, be housed in a different part of the penitentiary because of the difference in our nature of crime. Richard Allen is going to be in segregation. He is going to be in AGSEC. They are probably still extremely worried, and I'm really stating that his lawyers and the people that love him are extremely worried about his health and safety. The state of Indiana, the state of Oklahoma, they don't care. They don't care.
This is very important. Listen to this part, guys. It's something.
When I got to Oklahoma, they did not care that I was a diabetic. They did not care that I had health issues and I needed help. All they cared about was the fact that Arizona was going to be paying them to house me, and they could throw me into a cell and pretty much just handle it whatever which way they wanted to, because I was far away from family and loved ones that could complain on my behalf to the outside. See, if you want to make any type of complaint, if you want to get anything done while being incarcerated in the penitentiary to get yourself either better care or better living situation, just getting your privileges like visitation and phone calls. It needs to be done through loved ones on the outside. They need to be able to go to the central office facilities, wherever you're housed, to be able to push the issue. If you're trying to do it from within the penitentiary, then unfortunately.
So the scenario today, before Richard Allen was being transferred to Oklahoma, in my opinion, the possibility of an appealing process to me is very low. It's really unlikely. I want to have that appealing process because I think everyone in this community, we need that to find some answers that remains unanswered, right? But after this transfer, that possibility to me is just like fading out. And again, fishy, smelly situation. I really don't like that. It's I don't understand. Actually, I understand, but it's just insane.
That's never going to actually work for you. It's never going to actually work for you because they are not going to care at all about your complaints. They're going to ignore them, especially when you come from another state. So Richard Allen now is going to be an Indiana prisoner being housed in Oklahoma. He will be moved around quite a bit. When he gets out of the intake portion of the system, he's going to be moved throughout the state of Oklahoma. He will most likely see every maximum security prison complex that they have in Oklahoma because they're going to keep him on the move. They're going to keep it to where it's difficult for him to be able to mingle with the others. Because he's an out-of-state inmate, they try to keep you somewhat, I guess, safer or protected because of the fact you're in an out-of-state facility. And if you were to get attacked or if you were to get injured, lawsuits could be placed against them for not housing you properly. I've seen that happen. I haven't seen many people win those lawsuits, but I have seen them happen. But Richard Allen's path now is going to be much more difficult. He, of course, is going to be pushing to get his appeals heard. But now that he's in the state of Oklahoma, it's going to be much more difficult for that to happen. And time restraints on his appeals could come into play because being an out-of-state inmate can literally slow those types of things down. His visitation is going to be much more difficult. You have to reapply for visitation to get his loved one, his wife, and anybody else that wants to visit him. His phone calls are going to be much more expensive if he's able to make those. There's so much that goes into this, but literally, I'm sure he was laying in a cell in Pendleton Correctional in Indiana on Thursday night, thinking that everything would be normal. And the next morning, he got awoke, cuffed up, shackled to be, and moved. And he had no idea where he was going. Not a clue. And he wasn't able to let anybody else know where he was going or where he would be housed. Even his attorneys would not know that information until after he arrived to where he was going and after he makes it through his intake process. I do understand that you can see it already online. You can already see that he's in the intake center. But what you don't really realize until it comes into play for you, yourself, or someone you love is just because it shows you online being in that intake center doesn't mean that they're ever going to let you know where you actually are until you get to your home yard. Nobody's going to know how to write you. You're not going to have phone numbers. You're not going to be able to get visits. Everything is completely put on hold until you get to your first yard, wherever that may be, And at that point, you can start applying for visitation phone calls. And that's when it will update in the system. Typically, when they moved me from Arizona to Oklahoma, it was about 60 days after the fact that the people that were looking for me were able to find me and to be able to find a way to write me. It took another 90 days for me to be able to get my telephone calls turned on. An additional about 90 days after that, then I started learning whether my visitation was approved or not. The funny thing for me was, by the time I got my visitation and I got my actual phone calls turned on, they were already in the process of transferring me back to Arizona because the contractual agreement between Arizona and Oklahoma had come to an end for maximum security inmates. So I had to go back. And then they also made a decision that out-of-state inmates could no longer have medical issues. So Arizona was obviously having to bring the majority of the inmates they had sent back to Arizona. So it was just a road trip. For me, it was a road trip, but you need to understand this will probably be the first stop for Mr. Richard Allen, because there's a good chance that he could go from here into a whole nother state. He could potentially go from Oklahoma to Arizona, and then maybe he would hit some of the yards that I know so well that I spent the majority of my time. He would rather stay in Oklahoma. I'll tell you that right now. He would rather stay in Oklahoma. But no penitentiary system's a good place to be, especially when you're serving 130 years and you've got to keep the eyes over your shoulder and watch everything that's coming from behind. You have to remember the crime that he was convicted of is not well taken within the penitentiary. And that's why Richard Allen is now making his home in Oklahoma until he's found out and the inmates there figure out who he is and what his crimes are. And at that point, there's a good chance Richard Allen will be shackled, cuffed, back on that van, heading to a new place with a new cover. I appreciate you joining me for the breaking news as of Friday, July 8th.
So I think that was a great testimony. The creator is, the channel is A Convict's Thoughts. I think Mar, she put the link of his channel in the chat, so you can subscribe. Great testimony. I just think is again, and I know I'm repetitive here. This situation is very fishy, is very smelly. I really don't understand what's going on. Of course, if you think that Richard Allen is innocent, you should be worried about this situation because it's not normal, especially that transferred again. It happened after the release of the transcripts. So to me, it's a way for law enforcement to try to silence the answers that we are looking for. In my opinion, I think he is involved, but I'm still curious. I want to know the answers. And if he's gonna be moved to, he was already moved to that Oklahoma facility. It is not correct. It's not nice. It's not normal. I want to know the answers. We were, me and you guys, since the beginning of this case. We are spending a lot of time, a lot of hours, trying to find some answers. And when people say that law enforcement, they don't owe us anything, we don't deserve anything from law enforcement. Well, they were asking for questions. They were asking for help. They were asking to the public for help. And we are investing a lot of time, a lot of efforts here to try to get justice for these girls. So yeah, I think we deserve some type of answers here. It's not only, of course, the main objective here is to get answers for the girls, for sure. But we as a community, especially you guys, you are in the United States. You are paying, you are pouring money from your pockets to have a due process in this type of crime. So sorry, I'm a little bit random here, but this thing it just makes me mad. I don't understand. And even if you think that Richard Allen is guilty, you should be curious. You should be asking questions, because if you have a couple of neurons in your brain, you know that this case is not closed. It's not closed at all. It makes me mad. I'm pissed. I hope Richard Allen is gonna be safe there, but just trying to put obstacles to the appealing process is a bad sign. It's a bad signal here. So just wanted to vent. I hope I'm not muted right now. Coming back to the chat, Shay Watson. After all efforts to be here for this, my neighbor came in and dragged me out. I missed everything. This is fine. Enjoy your time. You can catch the reply anytime. Lynette, I didn't realize all of this. Learn something new every day. Yeah, it's crazy, huh? It's just insane. Don't dox me. We don't need to do what's best. Very sad they don't like monitoring of the moving process prisoners. Thank you, Mar, for sharing the channel's description. ARHayes is not worried yet. It just pisses me off. Let me go. I'm too late here in the chat, guys. Sorry for this. Mic use headphones. Each state has a cap of what percentage of your wages in prison go to restitution, paying the state or victims. But you still have to pay for living things like toiletries. Good point. Don't be throwing shade at my neurons. Oh, sorry. I was just venting, Jerry. I respect all opinions here, but we have to accept that this situation is just not normal. It's not normal. Anyways, let me go to the end of the chat. I'm almost there, guys. So I think that's it for today, guys. I just wanted to talk about the whole Oklahoma stuff. I wanted to have the feedback of different creators with different perspectives, and that's it. I wanted to hang out with you guys. Please hit the like, subscribe, and stay in touch, guys. I love you guys. I have to take care of my stinky dog. See you this week. Bye-bye. I cannot even end the streaming today.